would have sat down, cried. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's dry in here.
Oh, okay. So, I really like how you're saying, like, you didn't like him for, like, the choices he made, like, then. Like, I'll agree with you, but, like, I feel like, actually, like, when he said, like, the one when he was sleeping with that woman and he picked up the phone, I had to, like, go back in the book, and, like, see what he looked like. So, like, what's this guy look like? I didn't know.
I did that too.
Like, I have pictures of
Is he a nice looking guy?
and I was like, okay. That's weird. And I understand that he was like, obviously that's not a good choice, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like writing this book was a way for him to, because I feel like he's a good guy now.
Yeah.
You know, he has family, he has 5 kids or whatever, a wife, a steady job. He kind of switches from job to job, but like, I feel like if I went to war, I couldn't be like, oh, I wouldn't do it for the medals. I would, you know, I don't know. I feel bad for the guy, and I feel bad that he has to come to these realizations of who he was when he was in war. You know what I mean? Like,
The weirdest things for me to read though is when he does talk about his kids, because he doesn't talk about them very often either. But when he does, I feel like he thinks that they resent him, and I mean they probably do. Like, I know my uncle was a Marine, and his daughter never saw him growing up ever.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for her, so, I mean, I kind of get where that's all coming from, but I do find it interesting, too, that he, like, never talks about his kids ever. Except for that one story about, like, the kid stabbing his picture
or
with
like
the ballpoint pen.
his daughter, like, telling him from grade, like, something to grade 11 she was in, or like her 4 years of high school she was in 8 different schools or something like that. Like
That's a lot of movement.
crazy. It's like 2 schools every year.
It's. Oh, sorry. You say.
I feel like he's just trying to, because he's more trying to write this book for like people who are going to work, so
Like,
they
to help them,
realize,
yeah.
like this is what you're gonna be like. You're gonna be mean and you're not gonna feel any emotion. You're gonna kill people because you just want to kill them. Yeah. And he's, I don't know. I think that would be a really hard thing to write about. He went through all of it.
And I feel like he talks a lot, and I don't know how old he is now.
He's 74, I did the math last night.
Okay, I was gonna
He
say,
would have been 18 in 1964, because that's when he joined the Marines.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because he was really young, and so when you go from, like, imagine us, all of us are gonna be 18 and like,
being literally thrown into like,
and be thrown into the worst situations possible. Like, I can't imagine killing somebody or like, you know what I mean? It's just hard for them to grow up and then you have to go back right away and you're just expected to like be fine, you know what I mean? Like, everybody just expects the soldiers to be like 100% okay, and if they're not, then it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's not, and like, he talks about it, about how it should be, here you go, on page 88, he talks about how, he said, okay, I'm just gonna say it. We all have shit on our shoes, we've just got to realize it, so we don't track it into the house. And it talks about how, like, through writing this book, he realizes that, like, a lot of the stuff that he's had to go through and deal with, like, was so hard on him, and he is trying to say stuff, and I think it's cool because he talks about how the realization is one of the things we must work on in training society's professional fighters, our soldiers, police, and bodyguards. And I think that's, like, really important, especially now because, like he talks about even, like, police brutality and stuff like that. And I just read The Hate U Give, too, so I kind of, like, tied it in a little bit. But it is true because there's 2 sides to every story, and you don't know what's going through, like, a police officer's mind. You don't know what's going through the other people's mind, and it's hard, like, when you're taught the physical aspects of a job, but you don't know what, like, in it mentally and emotionally. So I think, like, that actually should be a thing they should get trained, you know what I mean? Because, like, there's no reason why so many people should have to go through, like, PTSD and no one there to help them.
Right. And even, like, brief, because I don't know if you can, like, train them to be, but, like, you probably could, kind of. I don't know, even if it's not like
Yeah.
the best system ever, like even just talk to them about it, like, you have to read this book.
Yeah, no, I think it's like stuff like you should tell people what they're getting into, because sometimes, and I mean like you have to know what you're getting into before you do a job, but like to a certain extent, like you don't know, like you go into being a doctor to save lives, you don't go in there thinking I'm gonna lose patients, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's not a thing, but there has to be like a better coping mechanism for things, especially like in the Vietnam War, because so many turned to drugs, and like it was the 60s, so like LSD and all that fun stuff was just like hitting the peaks like hard, and so everybody was like, here, you'll feel better, try this, or like they didn't know how to cope, and men don't want to talk about their like, you know what I mean? Like my grandpa never talks about stuff like that, so why would they want to talk
And I
about
think
it?
that this book isn't just for, like, preparing other people that are going to the military. Like, when he says we need to make time to make these people aware of their particular shadows and have them clearly understand. Like, this could be a book for, like, other people who have people, in the military to understand what
Like
they go through.
families and
Yeah,
stuff
like
like
he
that?
talks
Yeah.
about what he
Oh,
goes
yeah.
through. So, like, it can help other people understand that when they come back from the military, they're not going to be okay and they're going to go through stuff.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting too, going back to how you said they were kind of thrown into it, part of it was like kind of mental, or what I noticed for him, because he was like reading about all his like high school friends like dying in war and all these people who went into the Marines that were his friends, and he was tempted to just like run away and lose his scholarship and like run to Africa.
Yeah.
But then like his conscience was like, no, I have to go into active duty and stuff, so he kind of like threw himself into the situation too by being guilted into it in a way.
Being like, you have to be loyal
Yeah.
to it. And that the loyalty chapter, like, really, like, kind of messed with me, like, how they would follow crazy orders that they knew no needed, just because they needed to be loyal to their, like, commanders or whatever. Like, when they were on that long journey to wherever they were going, they wouldn't tell them who was in trouble or if there were people in trouble at all, and they hadn't eaten for, like, 3 days, and then they ate, and then they went another 2 days without eating, and then they lost communication, just so they could rest.
And they kept asking and they just wouldn't respond.
Yeah, I thought that was awful. But one of the other things I noticed, like with the loyalty, was the Semper Fi.
Oh,
The
yeah, I like that.
Marines coming together, I thought that was so cool, that no matter what, they were gonna help. Like on that journey, they met up with another unit
Oh,
at
yeah.
one point, and the other unit gave them food, because they were gonna be, they knew they were gonna be in trouble with food, but they also knew these guys were gonna be worse.
Yeah.
And so they shared it, and I thought that was, this is like life-threatening, basically, making yourself so much worse for where to help others, and I love that. And how I forget which battle it was, but this other platoon had heard that they were in trouble, and the platoon leader went not against orders, but he just kind of forewent any like permission or anything. He's like, I need to go help them, and just
Yeah.
goes. And I thought that was amazing.
Mhm. Like, it was, I don't know, it was like, we offered them some food, and then it was like Semper Fi, and then it was like, they took 2 like cans of beans and saved the rest for us, Semper Fi back, or something like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, I gotta interrupt just a little bit. It's Semper Fi,
Semper Fi. Sorry.
forever faithful. Yeah.
Or when they were walking along that like, I just totally blanked on the word, like the small cliff thing, and those 3 people fell, and they could have just assumed they were dead, but instead they went to go get them and like help the guy with like the broken back and the broken ankle,
And then
though
like, they pulled them up on ropes or
Yeah.
whatever.
even though it was like wasting their time entirely.
And every time like somebody gets injured badly, I was always like, parts of me wish the kid with the broken back would have
Would
just
die.
died.
Yeah.
Because the guy was in like excruciating pain, they didn't really do much for him, you know?
Yeah, but going back to like the Semper Fi, I thought it was also kind of cool how whenever somebody was wounded and needed help, they would do anything to get to them, to make sure that they at least had a chance to survive.
Yeah, because they like have to depend on each other, because like no one's really gonna be there for them, so they have to be there for each other, because like people back home like, are depending on them to, fight in war and stuff.
So it's like you gotta form your own family when
Yeah.
you're away from here. Or you're not gonna survive.
You have to like look out for each other, like really close.
And and that also, like, I thought that was super cool too, because he was talking about how he was, like, super young leading all these people, and some people were, like, 40 or 50 when he was, like, 18, just leading these people in the way that they all trusted each other. And these people older than him are trusting, like, someone, like, fresh out of high school.
Whenever he said the ages, it kind of like blew me away, because you're thinking like combat, you're thinking 25 or something, you know, people who are really adults and up there, and it was always 18 to 20-year-olds, and it's like, they are barely older than we are, and they're fighting in this, and that just, every time he's like, yeah, these 18-year-olds here, I'm like, say what now? And just, it's crazy to think that they're so young and going into combat, and
Having to deal with that.
yeah.
And then he talked about, it was like that Chinese guy, and they were talking about like their culture or whatever, and the Chinese guy was like, well, we see our youth as like fine steel, and you guys just see yours as nails to be thrown away.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny how, well, not funny, but I enjoy how he talks about all the different, like, religions and cultures that come together, and it helps guide the story. Like, he talks about Bushido a couple times, the warrior way thing, and how they follow, how the Japanese followed it, and how some aspects of it can have kind of gone over to the military, but not quite as many as they want. But also how some of the Bushido is a little bit scary. Like the kid of the like previous emperor or something.
The
and how-
kid that, like, willingly was just
like,
like, yeah, I'll get my head cut off, that's fine.
Yeah, it's that scared me a little bit. Like, I get
A little bit.
I got the point of how that's how Bushido works. It's you can sacrifice yourself for the greater of others, but it's still a little scary.
They even talked about how if like a soldier or something like that was trying to get their commanding officer to like believe something that they were saying, that if it didn't work, eventually they would just be like, okay, I'll kill myself to prove to him that I'm like serious about this. But it's just like they consistently talk about, and then I'll just kill myself and that's fine.
But like some of them, like the different cultures, or not cultures, but like different whatever, kind of like grew up like that, you know,
Yeah.
like to save their country and stuff. Like that's
Mhm.
fighting for them too.
Some of them were really noble.
You can tap it in like 2 seconds and just have like one little anklet. That reminds me of, do you guys remember like The Last Samurai that we had to watch last year? It reminds me of how like in Japan and stuff like that, like death was like the greatest honor that they could give to their like emperor and stuff like that. Which blows my mind that like some people actually like are raised like, one day you're gonna die and it's gonna be so good. Like, and I mean like I guess like in a way that's how we think, like we're like, oh, when we die we're gonna go to heaven, or you know, like what religions believe and stuff like that, but like it's just kind of crazy to
Yeah.
think. And then like with sending 18-year-olds to the war, how like I don't know, my parents are always like, you're 18, you're still a baby, like you barely know how to live on your own. And that's how like I guess like America's society thinks like 18-year-olds aren't like adults, but yet like they sent them to war and expected them to save everyone, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of crazy how much pressure
Is on
that
other,
is like on
in
their
different
shoulders.
countries. Yeah. How, yeah, they're raised.
And what really irritated me was like he talked about how all these kids are just trying to like make it through all this, but then he started talking about like how the politics of all of it affected the war, and that's why they had to keep going, and that's why they had to stay in Vietnam. That really bugged me with all the talking about how like the people that got medals, they only got them because they were like higher up and stuff like that. And that really annoyed me.
What really annoyed me was that when they found that like those like bunkers or whatever, and they were like all hidden, and then they like the admiral showed them like 6 times, but they're like, are the bunkers destroyed? And they're like, no. So they show them again, and then like we gotta have something to show for it, you know. So he had to lie that they destroyed all 6 bunkers, so the admiral would get recognized for, you know,
Yeah.
having to do that, even though nothing happened.
Yeah.
Even though it would have been easier for the airstrike to just come over and do a precision strike on them instead of shooting at them
Yeah.
from a
From
cruiser 400 miles
Yeah.
away.
Okay, that is, you might have misread that a little bit. What it is they only shot once at him, but the admiral kept on saying, go back and check, are you sure this is what happened? Because they wanted him to say that there was a ton of damage done and anything, and he ended up lying. And then the Air Force did come in and do it, and so they got actually double numbers for it, so they were very happy about that. Okay,
I needed to just tapping herself out. She's tapping herself
Hey, Christy.
I think that what you guys are talking about is important because there are all these different layers. There's the propaganda to keep support up for the war. There's the guys earning medals, but you only earn a medal if somebody writes it up for you. So there's got to be somebody else that likes you. You got to be a likable person to get this, you know. And then this whole idea of the numbers, you know, it's a job, so you want advancement. So, you know, there are all these different.
Yeah, this war was really like publicized in a way that like there's so many outlooks and opinions on this war.
Well, and it just dragged on for so long too.
Yeah.
So long.
It's really hard to read the book though because they talk about like all the like these different types of boats, these different types of helicopters, and I just get so
Different kinds of guns.
confused. So many words.
I know, I got the best one, like, oh,
Okay.
okay.
So that's a gun. We're gonna move on.
The war, like what did you say? You said, like publicized, and it also was like very corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very not good way of
Like-
fighting a war, you know?
One of the quotes that I found was
Yeah.
Where?
I was like, it's gone now. It came with your sleeve.
it was on page 114. It said lies in the Vietnam War were more prevalent because that war was fought without meaning. And I thought that was really a really interesting perspective, especially from someone that like actually fought the war, to have done all that stuff and realize that there wasn't any point to any of it would be really
I kind of like reminds about like the loyalty thing. Like it was like it's a lot easier to be loyal to an outrageous command when you're from Nazi Germany or some like Iraq, like the terrorist Iraq. Because if you disobeyed a command, you were killed. You were like not just shot, you were tortured to death, or you know, like. And where as in the American military, you can be like, no, that's stupid, I'm not doing that, or something, and they're not going to be like, okay, stand over there and I'll shoot you at the same time. Like, and I feel like that was kind of a cool perspective, kind of. Like, obviously with Nazi Germany, and that's obviously not good what they did, but, like, you can see how maybe if a soldier had conflicting opinions about what they were doing or realized this isn't right, they couldn't just come out and say that, because, well, they could, and that would be very
but
brave of them, but
They'd have consequences.
we would have lots of consequences.
Yeah.
We would die.
You
A very painful death, and I don't think that kind of makes me like I don't know if like when I'm reading this, I'm like I put myself in this situation. Like if I was in Nazi Germany and I knew what I was doing, would I be like this isn't cool and die, or would I be like, yeah sure, I'll just go do that. Whatever it's going to do.
But that's a good reason why we read too, you know, to try and put ourselves in other people's shoes to see perspective, you know.
we
Of
watched
the times.
There's this one play that always ends up being done at like regionals and stuff like that. And what's it called? Like The Dark Road or something like that? Okay, it's called The Dark Road, and it's from the perspective of this woman who was one of the guards at a prison camp during World War II. And it's about this guy that interviews her before she gets hung for the crime she committed while in the camp. And it's really weird and it's really awful because like it all starts out with just like them leading her. It starts out with them like leading her up to like the
Scaffold?
thing. There you go. Yeah, but like it's a bunch of people like screaming, and it always startles me every time they start. And it's just like it's a really interesting perspective because she talks about how she doesn't regret any of it because she got herself and her sister like into a better, like a wealthier lifestyle, and she doesn't regret any of that.
Oh, like she was being tagged by not by the Nazis, but by.
Okay. Yeah, she did it. She's
She's
like the whole
saying
time.
she was glad that she.
Yeah, she was glad that she like beat all those people and
Oh,
stuff like that
okay.
because
I also have to clarify for that because then, sorry, no, because this is an awful story. So what it is she starts with it to try and get more money for her and her sister so that they can have a better life. but her sister sympathizes a lot more with the prison camp
Yeah.
people in the prison camp. So what ends up happening is the sister turned
sister
in
guys.
to
That's
the
our
prison
end.
camp by her sister.
Oh.
It's